Just 1 second. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me get. Okay. Right.
We
All right.
are already live.
Yes.
Yes.
So, greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Jane Periana, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's symposium, 15th GNU Postgraduate Research Symposium. Okay, how is everyone today? Everyone is doing well?
Excellent.
Yes.
Fine,
Okay,
doctor.
so
Very well.
Thank you for.
yes. All right. So, with that, before we dive into the session, I would like to invite a key leader to officially open today's proceeding. That is our Dr. Rana. I'd like to welcome. She's our assistant professor in accounting and finance, the business school programs leader. Over to you, Dr. Rana.
Thank you, Dr. Jane, and welcome today to the 15th School of Business Postgraduate Symposium. Thanks for all the attendees, and for sure for those who are watching us on the live streaming, because just for everyone information, earlier those sessions were happening in our platform, the Microsoft team. But we decided as part of the improvement in the School of Business that we're gonna to open this session to even outsiders to attend, especially for the industry players. And this is gonna to give like bigger chance for our learners to get to present their work to people, not only academicians, not only their peers, even outsiders. Also to have the recording for their future reference. And this is also will be like digital footprint for their work, their research. So like this, they can claim it that this topic is for them and is already available online, is presented under the name. Okay. So what we are working here, what is our postgraduate symposium? We have that as part of the progression for our doctorate learners, either our DBA, Doctor of Business Administration, or our PhD in Management. Our learners they usually have 2 stages in their research. They have their proposal defense and they have their viva voce. So we open for them the symposium to give them that chance to break that ice of like presenting the work for outsiders. Okay. We don't want to put them directly in front of the examiners, because maybe some of us, we are very good with the camera, but we are somehow, when we hear the word examiner, we panic. So for that reason, we give them that chance. Also, I know many of them, they are very comfortable with their supervisors. So again, maybe not the best person, but always giving them that chance to present in front of their peers, in front of industrial players, in front of other supervisors, which is gonna to give them a lot of positive feedback, which is always adding value to their research. This is the main aim of our postgraduate symposium. So just to let everyone know, it's usually happening twice a month. Our schedule is already published in our LinkedIn. And starting from January 2026 is happening using Zoom platform, and it's also live streamed in YouTube. I'm gonna to share now also the YouTube live streaming if you want to share it with whoever wants to attend. Maybe they don't have a Zoom account. So thanks for everyone for presenting. All the best for presenters, and for sure, thanks a lot for all supervisors who guided the learners to this stage. It's very important stage in their research, and we always wish the best for everyone. Back to you, Dr. Jane.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rana, for those insightful opening remarks. So, with that, I would like to set some housekeeping rules. First of all, I would kindly ask everyone to mute your mic so that we can all listen the session to our doctoral researcher. And then second point is all doctoral researchers or candidates, you have exactly 15 minutes to do your presentation. After which I will stop the session to make way for the question and answer session. All right. So today we have four candidates. So the first one would be Sayenga. Second person is Kaushik Ray. Uh, Third one is Saurabh Dongre, and the fourth is Sushil Kumar Verma. So please get ready. And so right now, please allow me first of all to congratulate the four of you for coming to this, for reaching this stage in your journey, research journey. So I wish you all the best. With that, let's start with Sayengar. If you could share your PPT slide.
Sure, Dr. Jayanti.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before starting, I'd like to thanks all the lecturers, doctors, professors, and my colleagues for giving me this opportunity to present over here. So it's been more than 4 years. It's been 4 years since I have presented over the online because as we are not accustomed to this online sharings and these things. So if I do anything wrong, please excuse me and pardon me for that. So shall I start the presentation?
Yes, Sayan, could you just start the PPT slide session because the
Yeah.
slide is a little bit small.
Yeah, can you see? Is it okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So I will start. I won't spare any more minutes. So so my topic is Indian housing market. So it's a real estate and basically focusing on the affordability and purchase preferences among the four major cities that I have taken. One is Kolkata, one is Chennai, one is Mumbai, and one is Bangalore. So two of it will be the major consideration. That is one Kolkata and Chennai, and the reference point I will use at Bangalore and Mumbai. So I'm doing my research under Dr. Madhulika Kaushik. So these are the six table of contents I have. Introduction, these things you know already. So I will continue with the introduction. So as we know that real estate is a very acknowledgeable sector, as we know, and in India, under the governments of PM Modi's and everyone, the affordable units and these things have been a very vital sector for our upcoming budgets and upcoming nature developments. So what we have come to know that around 7.3% of nation's GDPs have been contributed by our Indian real estate sector, especially the housing sector. So what we can expect being a $4 trillion economy, we can expect that the market will expect to grow till $1 trillion in the next 5 years. That is in 2030. But basically, why I'm doing this? The reason is most of the researchers who have worked till now over this sector of real estate listing, they have done an overview, like a report or over studies that they have done, but they haven't gone to the any grassroots of this situation of real estate or housing sector in India because it's a very vital sector and there is a lot of possibilities in this sectors. Because 90% of the sector is unorganized sector and 10% is the organized sectors, which is played by the different real estate bodies and real estate uh, developers were quite big, having listed shares in the markets and this thing. But 90% of them are not a very small developer like us because I'm also from a realty background only. So what we are doing, what I am doing, I'm coming to a conclusion or I'm going to do the study in such a way so that as a developer, if I'm approaching any city or any project, so I can have a mindset that these are the things upcoming people are requiring for housing and what are the young generation. The main reason for the study is in what we know that around 30 to 40% our workforce are driven by the millennials or the Gen Zs right now. So because of that, only their mindset and our previous mindsets are quite different. So after the COVID-19, many of the people have lost their their closed ones and these things. So what we have observed from the news, from the research, uh, articles that many of them are thinking to use the concept of YOLO, you only live once. They are buying cars, they're buying housing, luxury housings, or if they haven't spent any money on houses, they are trying to do in that moment. So in this, the basic data that we are collecting are around 10 data like age-based preferences, type of BHKs, preferences, down payment contributions. Because what I have observed in while collecting the data, while doing this research and while collecting the literature review, that there is a huge constraint of problems with the down payment because people may go with the loans and EMIs, but there is a huge constraint with the down payments, upfront fees and these things. That's a very constraining things. So from this data, we can get a lot of small things about how people are choosing, what type of ages are buying, what type of incomes they're having, what type of projects will be successful, what type of, if they are approaching for any rentals, how much they can expect, everything we can get from. And this is about the post scenario because we are going to compare a scenario previously, pre-scenario to COVID and post-scenario to COVID. In this, what we can see in the problem statement is that the post scenario there has been a alteration of the and there is a change and shift of the lifestyle of the young professionals, as I mentioned earlier also about the Gen Z's and Gen Y's and the millennials what we are right now. So these are the things what we are going to discuss in this. Secondly, about the research objectives. So mainly I'm focusing on 5 research objectives. As I mentioned, the first one is the real estate market before and after the pandemic. Second is the affordability, how much affordable the market is right now after the post-COVID, because there has been a huge change in the market in all over cities, whether it's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities. But we're focusing on tier 1 cities, so I will consider that as only. Third is the buyer preferences and the future choices. Because as I mentioned, the earlier mindset was different. Right now, mindset difference. Previously, people used to go with small cars. Right now, people used to go with luxury cars. Same wise, they used to have preferential of small homes. Right now, they are coming with flats and these things. So it changes from mindset to mindset. So they like what they have in mind. Fourthly, there are 3 sectors what we are focusing on. That is one affordable, one is mid segment, and what is ultra luxury housing. Affordable is like 40 to 45 lakhs. Mid segment is like above 50 lakhs to 1 to 1.2 crore, and ultra is like above 4 crore, 5 crore like this. And all the whole sector has been driven by the government policies. So that's a very vital, the budgets, the government policies, taxations, all these things, because of which the pricing, the buying, everything, choices, everything matters. So upcoming literature will see about this. There are the 8 questions that we have derived from the literature, some research objectives. So they're the same thing, but we're questioning that whether how it will evolve and how the factors and these things. So we'll move to the next slide because I have so many slides to show actually and discuss. Coming to the chapter literature review, let me be clear about one thing to everyone. My research is not only based on the journals or research papers. It's very much based on the news media, the articles, the information that we get from the articles, and also from the industry. It's like a 30 chance. 30% will be collected from research papers, 30% is collected from the media and the newspapers, and 30% will be collected from the industry reports, which have already worked on this kind of things, this kind of research. Because all the data, these data are not available to me because these are all my research is the combination of 2 data, like the primary data and the secondary data. Primary data will be done by the surveys and these things, and the secondary data will be from the journals and these things. So coming up with the literature first concept, that is conceptual and analytical framework. So there are 4 concepts that it has been divided with. One is TBP, one is principal accessibility, one TFT, and home H&T model, that is housing and transport model. Coming to the theory of planned behavior, the whole concept is like when a person is thinking to buy a flat, they has been seeing a lot of things. Like for example, if my choice is having a gym in an apartment or having a natural ventilation, so these are the things. Many of things are saying for some whether it's locality, how is it, whether the security deposit is low, whether the housing loan is available or not, whether bank approvals. So it's like a behavioral thing that varies from person to person, as mentioned by Azen in 1991 in the first paragraph I mentioned. Second is the pricing and accessibility. There are projects coming over all these places in top tier cities. So the pricing here, mostly one thing I can say, the lands are not quite available in the central part of any city. It's always available in the outskirts of the city. So if any projects are coming on in the central part of the city or anyone near to the transportations and facilities, people are paying some extra prices for that. That is that hedonic pricing what we are talking about. So this is the thing, because they don't want to waste their time on the transportation, because maybe the cost of the housing might be low in the outskirts, but the day-to-day cost will be very high. So that is one thing. Next is traditional filtering theory. This is a very important theory. Like previously, as shown in the right side, the diagram, there are three steps. There. In the first step, there are four houses, 4 units. In the 4 units, the blue ones are the poor ones, and the yellow ones are the rich ones. So they are all equal. In the second, what is happening when they are increasing the houses, so everyone is shifting to like that. But what is happening due to the poor ones, they don't have a proper income, or they have a lack of income in this thing. What they are selling their home to the rich ones, and when they are acquiring it, and they are again shifting to the back. So poorer becomes poorer, and the richer becomes richer. The live example is Dharavi. So Dharavi has done the same thing. What they are doing, people are getting flats in the redevelopments, and then the poorer ones, people who are getting the flats, they're renting out or they're selling it to some richer guy for some crores, and again they are going to the jhopris and these things. So that is the traditional filtering theory. HNT model, that is housing transportation model, already I have mentioned earlier. It's about both the things, because we can't consider only on housing, we have to consider both on housing and transport, because the cost is directly proportional to it. If housing, we are getting transportation facilities, obviously the housing price will increase. So this policy has been actually introduced by USA in 2024, but earlier, but it was CNT has actually mentioned in the paper. But in India, it has been modified to National Transit Oriented Development Policy, that's a TOD policy. Coming up to the AMI to income insufficient. Right now there are 4 cases what we can see in this thing. That is, there is a set of gap in Indian economy as per the banking rules and these things. When it comes to a pricing of 30 lakhs to 30 lakhs, the upfront price would be only 10%. So for 30 lakhs, you have to pay 3 lakhs, and 90% will be bank loans. When the price is increasing, the upfront price is also increasing. So this is a very problematic factor or constraint for young generation, because they are starting in just maybe they are working in the field for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. They don't have a very much collection of set of amount for the upfront fee. So they are actually lacking that, and they are having some issues while paying for the upfront fees. Because in the case D, if you see, for a 1 crore property or 100 lakhs property, 75% is the only loans the banks are providing. So they have to provide 35 lakhs. It's like you can buy a single flat actually, like as mentioned in case A. So that is a problem that they're facing. Another thing is, if they're paying the EMIs also, later they're not left with much of a payment for the transportations. So that has become a burden that we have mentioned in the P point in the first paragraph, you can see. Next is the young buyers' preferences and interest. Like young buyers are preferencing 4 things while purchasing any apartment units or any houses. That is, they are quite having knowledge because of the internet and the medias, that the influencers, the Instagrams, Facebook, everything. So what they're looking for is developer reputations, and RERA is a compliance. I will come up later actually. So RERA is a compliance that made by the central government. every developer should have a registration. For example, Tamil Nadu, it's a state, different state. They will have a different. We are from West Bengal. We'll have a different. Chennai will have a different. Mumbai will have it. So all have a different this compliances, and that the developers need to follow. Second is the connectivity office, how long the office, how far the office is. That is one thing. And this is a new concept, that is work from home ready layouts. This concept has been introduced after 2021 only. Many of the developers are attracting the buyers using this concept. And third and fourthly, lastly, is financial viability and smart homes and resilient home post cyclone, because many of the places in India are bounded by, like in Malaysia also, there are places they're nearby beaches and this thing. So similarly in India also, there are places which are near to the beaches, coastal areas. So because of that, the cyclones, they hit the housing sectors very badly. So they are giving an commitment like this is a cyclone proof or whatever the this type of things the developers are actually telling, and buyers are actually preferring that kind of things. The same TOD I've already mentioned earlier. With TOD, they have also introduced a concept called Model Tenancy Act after the COVID-19, because what happened before COVID-19, there was a different set of Model Tenancy Act, but after COVID-19, many of the people have lost their homes, lost their jobs, and because of them, they are unable to pay the tenants, and they are having some legal issues and this thing. So government has modified that thing, and PMAU is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that is for build home for all. It's a concept. So basically, what they're doing, if you are a woman, you will get some subsidies from the bank loans. So this also gives a higher side for the developers, and it's beneficial for the developers as well as for the buyers. So this is one scheme.
Okay,
Next
sorry,
is the
Syed, you have just
yeah.
another 2 more minutes to complete your
Okay,
presentation.
I will pass. Yeah, sure.
You can go to chapter 3 now.
So yeah, so this is on housing sectors. We have divided the housing sectors into three parts, four. One is Mumbai, Chennai, like this. Second is mid housing segments. This we have done to see what are the projects are going on and what is happening. Then is this premium and ultra segments, that what are actually the premium ultra segment is only we can focus on Mumbai, because that is the only city in India which has so much of higher premium sectors. Okay. Then is the credit sectors. Credit sector is nothing but how much the buyers can afford actually the housing. Because in Kolkata, the wages are quite lower than compared to Chennai and Bangalore. So that is the thing, how much money they can get from the banks, considering the same kind of job. Like loan to value, same thing, that how much I mentioned earlier also, the LTV, that how much upfront value they are going to pay. Then is this resilient residential cycle pandemic affordability, that after the pandemic, the repo rate has been decreased, so that housing sector can survive actually and people can buy actually. YOLO concept I mentioned earlier as well, that you only live once. Using that concept, people are using that mindset. Then FOMO, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out, the developers is using that if you don't buy it right now, you'll lose this thing, that thing. So this kind of concepts also they are using. Then layoffs and property purchase sentiments. So this is also one thing that we are worried about, because all the major buyers are coming from the IT sectors of higher income groups. So that is also factors actually, that also have done a literature review on that. Then the platforms and the online social media, YouTubers and this thing, they are also coming up with the projects, and they are also socializing these things. Another problem for the Indian sector is the black money, the politicians' monies and these things. They are also actually driving the whole sector, and that is also affecting us. The small developer like us are affecting. The prices can't be made properly. So this kind of things we are facing actually. The buyers also being harassed actually because of these issues actually. The last of this topic, which is a very important topic of this literature review, that is GST, that has been decreased recently in last few months back. Because of that, the costing has cut nearly around from 18% to 5%, the cement values and this thing, construction material values. So this is a very good thing for as a builder, as I'm talking, and as a if I'm a buyer also, it's a very, from buyer point of view, it's a very good thing. there are some of the case studies, some Prestige City, some OMR corridors, in Kolkata, some Trump Towers
Okay,
and atmosphere.
Sayan, you haven't done chapter 3. I'm only going to give you 1 minute. You've
I will
extended by
wrap it up.
3 minutes. All right.
Sure.
Let's
Thank you,
keep
ma'am.
with the time, please.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
coming to the chapter 3, we are actually considering on the research methodology. So in the research methodology, there are two vital things. One is the data sampling. So in the data sampling, what we are doing, there are actually in India 28 states are there and 8 union territories, but we have taken only 4 states considering east, west, north, south, and those are the major real estate driven states. So with the using the Z distribution, we have come up the N equals to 96. So we have come. So that's why from each state we will be collecting 100 respondents per city, and it will be total sample size will be 400. So based on that, we'll do our research. Okay. Next is the sample selection and variable. So these are old from 2020 to 25. We'll get the data, we'll collect the data, we'll compare it from the previous data and post data, whatever we are getting. So that's the thing. Then processing the data will be transform reductions. That we all know about this, how the data are properly cleaned. The techniques, what we are going to use are visual techniques, some data like unsold units, rentals, how much it is, comparisons, this all we're gonna do. In the research analysis, I have mentioned my main thing is primary questionnaire and secondary data that we'll get from the government data, the researchers, the reports and these things, and we'll come to a conclusion how it's going to do. So I mentioned in the both the places. Coming to the expectation contributions, this is going to help the research, upcoming research, because there is no such research is there that I'm going to do. Many of them are only focusing on the outlook, as I mentioned. And coming to the business, this will be very good for the developers, for the institutions, for the policymakers, and the market analysts and investors. So this is my research. There's some limitations also. As you can see, every research has some limitations. I've used 113 references in that. So thank you so much. I've taken a lot of time actually. I'm sorry for that. Because
Okay. All
yeah,
right. So, yes, I'm going to open the floor to question. I'm going to limit to only 2 questions, and Sayan, please answer to the question very briefly because we have another 3 more doctoral research to do
sure.
this session. Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank
Open
you.
the floor for question. Anyone want to ask any question or want to give comment to Sayan's presentation? Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Basu.
Yes, Dr. Bessel, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sayan, I really would like for you to tell me briefly and in basic terms, what is all your research is all about, okay?
Yeah.
Just really briefly and in basic
Okay.
terms, and tell
Okay.
me the gap and where are you getting the gap from?
Okay.
Is it
Okay.
from India or from the US?
No, it is
Okay.
actually, yeah. So I got it. My research is actually concerned, the whole thing is about Indian market only. Okay, it's not related to any US or anything. So the main thing about this research is to see what is the buyers preferences and affordability they can do in the upcoming years, like forecasting the things. Because what we have observed, what I have observed personally, that all the research previously or what the reports they have given an idea about what is going on in India. But I don't want to do that. As a developer, as a developer background, as a researcher, I want to come up to a point that this is the thing, this is the people want. There are the research, this is the preferences, and especially the focus in totally on the young generations, because the workforce is India right now. 30% workforce are driven by young professionals only. So I want to go ahead with the consumer behavior, how the consumers they are doing, what type of preferences they are coming up, and what are the what are the market going to be in future in the upcoming years, and what type of projects, what type of things, because these data, whatever I am going to collect, that will be helpful for the developers, the government, the banks, and any researchers who are going to work in the next few years.
Okay, so all right.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So all right, Sayan, you can stop sharing your screen. I would like to make way to our second doctoral researcher. We want to keep to the time, please. And you need to improve on your presentation time during your defense later, all right? That's my personal advice. So,
Dr. Jane, can I
yes.
just make one comment here?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Kaushik. Yes, I was about to comment about that. Shayan, I believe you are aware that we have a template for our presentation.
Yes, Dr.
So I don't want to seem a little bit strict, but I would like to request from you to work on your presentation and use a template. So when you are doing your proposal defense, presentation must use a template.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay?
Sure,
I sometimes, you know, we like to have some design in this, but as I mentioned, it's part of our commitment to our university that we should, and part of our professionalism, that we should maintain certain templates to be followed. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Back to you, Dr. Jane.
Okay, thank you very much. So take note, everyone. All right. So, Kaushik, I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
So
Doctor.
you have exactly 15 minutes to present your presentation. If you have can complete that, at least I can give more time for any question and answer to improve this session for you. All right. So over to you,
Certainly.
Kaushik. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I present my research proposal on leading without authority within India's IT services sector. I've been working on this for the last few months under the guidance of Dr. Basil Shaheen. So here are the contents. My presentation is structured in 4 chapters. First, I'll establish the introduction, outlining the sector's significance and the core research problem. Second, the literature review synthesizes existing theory and identifies the critical methodological and contextual gaps. Third, I detail the research methodology, explaining the phenomenological approach and interpretative phenomenological analysis. And finally, the research integrity and contributions. Now, on the background and motivation, India's IT services sector is a cornerstone of the national economy in India. It's characterized by digital transformation, young workforce, values autonomy, and thus project based, globally distributed work. Even if it is in a small microcosm, it's quite distributed. However, a paradox exists. While the organizations adopt agile and flat structures, the traditional social hierarchical structure and the hierarchy within the organizations, they pose a paradox. This misalignment creates adaptive challenges where success increasingly depends on peer influence, emotional intelligence, collaboration, and these are the capabilities which are central to leading without authority. So, this paradox and this need was the background and the motivation for me to do the research. Now, the central problem is the systemic invisibility and under institutionalization of leadership without authority. Hereafter, I'll call it LWA. Professionals who lead through influence remain unrecognized by the formal systems. The structural dissonance, flat teams paired with hierarchical structure, combined with cultural barriers like high power distance and organizational inertia, these stifle the innovation and engagement. Crucially, there's a profound lack of India specific qualitative research on exploring the lived experience of these professionals. This study aims to fill that void. Now, coming to the research objectives and research questions, my study is guided by 5 objectives, each paired with a phenomenological research question. The RO1 RQ1 explores the perceived necessity of LWA. The second one investigates how professionals incorporate LWA practices daily. The third seeks to understand the holistic, interconnected nature of the LWA experience. And finally, R4 and N5 analyze how professionals adapt their LWA approach in the presence of facilitator factors and detractors at their workplace. Now, in the theoretical framework, there are 3 theories that I'm drawing from. My inquiry is framed by 3 integrated theoretical pillars. Distributed leadership, this provides the where and who, conceptualizing leadership as a capacity that is dispersed across the organization. Adaptive leadership provides the why and when, explaining LWA as a necessary response to complex challenges that authority cannot solve. That's very important. And finally, co-elevation provides the relational how, detailing the mechanism like vulnerability and shared accountability through which influence without authority is enacted. Now, in the literature synthesis and the research gap, it reveals 2 interconnected gaps. Methodologically, there is an over reliance on quantitative competency based studies that lack deep qualitative exploration of the lived meaning. That's methodologically. And contextually, there's no study that examines LWA within the unique confluence of India's collectivist and yet high power distance culture, its young digital native workforce, and its project based distributed service model. So this study's niche is a phenomenological investigation that address both gaps simultaneously, the methodological gap and the contextual gap, offering a rich, hopefully contextually grounded insights. This is the heuristic framework that I will be applying. In order to guide the phenomenological inquiry, I adopt a heuristic framework based on Van Manen's life world existentials. This is enough literature is there on this. The core is the lived experience of LWA itself. I'll explore it through 4 lenses. One is the lived body, embodied sensations of influence, lived time, the temporality of leading, lived space, the physical and digital environments, and the lived human relations, the core of trust and power dynamics. Contextual elements like facilitators and detractors, these would be forming an essential part of the inquiry that I do. Now I come to research methodology. The research methodology is based on IPA. It's the interpretive phenomenological analysis. It acknowledges reality as socially constructed through lived experience. The methodological framework is very popular in qualitative research and is called IPA. It is qualitative, inductive, and ideographic, focusing on particular cases before seeking patterns. Its core is the double hermeneutic. I interpret the participant who interprets the world. This approach suits very well to uncovering the essence of the LW experience as understood by those who live it. Now, in the data collection and sampling strategy, given the limited 15-minute time, I thought I will keep quite some time for this because in Symposium, the researchers dwell a lot on this. So I'll obtain primarily data through approximately 45-minute semi-structured interviews. These will be recorded and undergo verbatim transcription. The sampling strategy is stratified purposes sampling. Stratification is based on the 5 to 10 years of experience range in the relevant role in the industry. I'll recruit 20 IT services professionals from among software engineers, technical architects, and account management executives who work as individual contributors and display LWA. Now, among these, software engineers maybe are 95%, but I extended my own research and added technical architects and account management to actually get the nuances. It will be a homogeneous pool of 18 samples. The criteria of homogeneity is based on sharing the core phenomena under investigation, and that is the lived experience of LWA by the chosen sample. The three roles form a part of the homogeneous group of IT service professionals. Presence of the three roles allow for the study of any nuances in the LWA experience. The IPA analysis examines all participants through their complete data to identify both the matching and differing patterns. The similarities and differences that lie in the lived experience of LWA will be known from the cross examination of the 18 PETs. In short, there will be 18 PETs, personal experience themes of the 18 participants. The group experience themes will be abstracted from these 18. In other words, there will not be separate GETs drawn from the subsets of software engineer, architect, and account management. This nuanced explanation is key to set up the IPA research in a homogeneous environment. Now, depending on the organization's norms, these roles can be named differently. Software engineers primarily do programming. They can be called developers, programmers, associates, all that. Architects primarily do the key architecture. They could be called engineers, tech specialists, different terms. Account management professionals focus on the relationship management and could be called client management, executive, client interface manager, project manager, leads. Primarily, I'll go by the nature of the work. The designations and terms could be different. By the very nature of work, a vast majority of these professionals are in the software engineer roles. Very few are in architecture, and a very few number are in account management. That does not mean that I'll exclude architecture and account management. In this qualitative research, we don't go by proportional representation. The focus will be to understand the nuances. Interpretative sufficiency is the guiding point. Hence, I'll include at least a couple of samples, 2 to 3 from architecture and 2 to 3 from account management. In the literature survey that I have read about IPA, around 12 samples are good for a very good doctoral program. In fact, it starts from 8 and there's 12. I've chosen 18 because initially I thought 12 software engineers, and later I added 2 roles to get a more nuanced explanation. Now, based on the confidentiality agreements of the interview participants, I will follow the required procedure. In the interest of time, I won't go into detail in that. Now, in the data analysis, the IP analysis requires a meticulous multi-stage process. It begins with immersion, initial noting of transcripts. Next, there's the development of emergent themes, personal experience themes, group experiential themes. I'll go through all of that and lead to the synthesis. I'll use NVivo software for organizing and manual coding of the data. Now, I'll be managing the research integrity and contributions through the procedure of credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability. This comes from the well-known Lincoln and Guba model. I'll be following all the ethical protocols, prior approval from the University Ethics Board, informed consent, anonymity, and that's a big deal. Actually, I have reached out to some people that I am doing research. After the approval, I'll be coming to you to seek time with some people to interview. First of all, very few people want to do interview these days, and second is they're extremely cagey. They don't, in the interest of academic contribution, some of them are happy to share, but they don't want any tracing back to them or to their organization. So anyway, the focus here will be on academic research, and all the other things, the confidentiality and all, would be managed. The expected contributions are twofold. Theoretically, this study advances leadership theory by providing a rich phenomenological account of LWA. It integrates distributed, adaptive, and co-elevation theories in non-westernized Indian context and addresses a significant empirical gap. Since the time I started my career 3 decades back, I have been hearing this term, but nothing beyond this term as to what it means and how do people live it. That's theoretically, and practically it will generate evidence-based knowledge to help organizations develop various strategies. They'll be able to design leadership programs and establish cultural frameworks that institutionalize LWA in the way it's suited for the organization. Now, the limitations, timelines and conclusion, generalizability. This is context specific, and generalizability is not the objective of the research as well. The process of transferability depends on very detailed information of the thick descriptions. To the extent the contexts are similar, some generalization could be done. Subjectivity, which is actually quite inherent in this, and there will be a lot of note taking, reflexivity, bracketing that I will be doing to manage subjectivity. Subjectivity cannot be eliminated, but it will be managed. Cross sectional design. This is actually not a longitudinal study, it's a cross sectional design. So that is inherent in the work that is planned. In terms of timelines, preparing the forms and formats. Actually, I have already done this. Once the approval process goes through, I'll review it with my guide, and then conducting the pilot would be the immediate next step. I'll be conducting and recording the interviews, transcribing, data analysis, and finally the findings, conclusion, and dissertation. There's a bunch of references. I'll be happy to take any comments and field any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Kaushik. Your timing perfect, exactly 15 minutes. Thank you for that. And very clear, crisp presentation. Please allow me to open the floor for any question, any comments for Kaushik's preparation on his research proposal. Anyone?
Hi, my name is Ram, and yes, I do have a couple of quick questions. By the way, Mr. Kaushik, I think that was an excellent presentation, like Dr. Jain said. Two questions. One is regarding the sampling that you are looking at, where your topic is leadership without authority. You're looking at a lot of software engineers who are primarily individual contributors. Wouldn't it be more appropriate to look at more team-based people, unless, of course, you're looking at software engineers who are part of larger teams? That's question one. Second question, which is actually a more fundamental question, is that if software engineers, we all know that there's a lot of disruption happening because of AI. How relevant would this study actually be if those roles themselves are going away?
Thank you, Ram. Very good questions, and I'll answer the second question first. I mean, it's so fundamental. AI and all is coming, so my son himself is doing a master's in computer science, and they are worried whether this field will exist. Now, the reality is, the more AI comes, there will be more need of leadership, empathy. Leadership without authority will be even more required than today, is what I feel. That apart, on the skill part, people will adapt. The current software engineers will adapt to the AI-based software engineering. So skill-based, it will be fine. But on the approach and the need, I think the need would be, Ram, even more. There will be even more requirement of leadership without authority, empathy, and all that. Now, on your first question on the sampling, so the basic, so relevance of the experience is important. That's why I use the word relevant. I'll reinforce that in the document also. Sometimes people do a smattering of things, but they should have done 5 years of relevant experience. 5 is the cutoff. And then when they have individual contributor role, they're all part of team actually at the end of 5 years, in the 5 to 10 year range. And also, when they are individual contributors, they have even less authority. So among structurally, they are having less authority, and they, through their inherent potential and trial and error, they show leadership without the authority. It becomes even more interesting to do the research. That's the reason I chose that sample. In fact, very consciously, I have eliminated the layers where the organization bestows authority.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I think that's an excellent answer, because for two reasons. One is that if AI is disrupting, then maybe some of these leadership without authority areas are the ones that will help them to retain their relevance. I think that's a great answer. As far as the other answer regarding the sample size, if you are looking at people who are working within teams and who have exhibited leadership without authority, I guess that's valid. My fear is that in your sample, would you be able to get sufficient examples of leadership without authority? But if you're looking at 5+ years, you're possibly correct at that. So thank you. Thank you for those answers.
Thank you, Ram. I took note of that.
Thank you so much for that question. And of course, Kaushik, you defended those question very well. Now, I believe, Alok, you have question for
I have
Kaushik?
a question.
Over
I
to
have
you.
a question, and
Thank you,
Over to
Doctor.
you.
Kaushik, first of all, compliments on such a wonderful presentation and the way you have looked at the topic. I understand sample you would have kept in mind, and you gave sort of a response to Ram's question, and I got some bit of that answer. But however, one of the suggestion is that leadership without authority would actually come into light where they have the opportunity of using authority, still people are not using that. So have you considered looking at probably a more hierarchical organizational structure and a more flatter organizational structure, so that you can find out the difference of how leaders are working and where exactly LWA is playing a role?
Got the point. Got a beautiful, phenomenal question, Alok. So, this thought crossed the mind, and that's why I have increased the range. In the earlier versions that I was reviewing with my guide, Dr. Basil, it was 2 to 4. In the 2 to 4, the higher limit being 4, the element of organizational authority being there, and you still not using it and using your inherent LWA, the possibility of that would have been much lesser. And hence, it was increased from 5 to 10. That's one part of the answer. And the second part of the answer is, this is such an under-researched topic, Alok, that I did not want to attack too many things. The lived experience of LWA, what it is, chronicling it possibly for the first time in India itself, I just want to focus more on that.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Kaushik.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alok, for that question. And Kaushik, the response. Actually, I have one question just to ask you. For the software tool that you plan to use, why are you choosing NVivo? Because in qualitative research, there are so many other tools. Why NVivo? Why specifically you're using the NVivo tool? What are you uh, aiming to achieve by using this software?
Thank you, Doctor. So, Doctor, Dr. Jain, this is only for repository of information. The whole of IPA is a very manual effort, logically clustering and keeping. And my familiarity through 802 is only with NVivo. But, just for clustering and coding, if there are better ones, I'll speak to you offline and take those as well. I mean, choose that as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And okay, Kaushik, thank you for your presentation. Very well done. if you could kindly stop the share, I would like to invite the next our next doctoral researcher, who is Saurabh Dongre. Would you try to share your screen? Okay.
Sure, thank you. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Excellent. You're also using the PowerPoint presentation, the official of GNU. Thank you very much for that. All right. So 15 minutes from now, Saurabh, all the best. Over to you.
Thank you so much. A very good morning to my peers, respected professors, and everybody else who's joining live stream. My name is Saurabh Dongre, and under the supervision of Dr. Basil Shaheen, I am presenting my research topic, which is identifying leadership competencies for high potential young associates. This is a qualitative study of senior leaders' perspectives on the leadership pipeline. So my presentation is divided into 3 sections. First is the introduction with the problem statement, research objectives, followed by a thorough literature review, which also includes research gaps and a conceptual framework. And then I'll go into the research methodology. So I'll begin with the first section. To give a background, I would mention that leadership development in itself is a multi-billion dollar industry, which involves associates to go through a progressive journey of leadership development, and they're expected to showcase competencies in managing self, managing team, managing business, and so on and so forth. And this even becomes important when it is about identifying high potentials at the early stages of their career and investing on them. However, current research often examines these leadership competencies in compartments or in isolation. So the study that I'm trying to do is about looking through this journey of leadership development in the buckets of self, team, and business, and how this comes as together. And most importantly, through the eyes of a very important key stakeholder, which is senior leaders. So with that, I will talk about what kind of problem statements that I'm looking at. First of all, the research that is available is, as I was saying, is fragmented. The competencies are studied and compartmentalized in different buckets, and their interdependence is missed. Then second, the perspective of the key stakeholders, senior leaders who are responsible for evaluation, investment in the journey of young leaders, their point of view is largely missing. Third is in terms of limitations in methodology. Most of the research available is quantitative, based on surveys, and what it misses out is experiential and interpretative aspects. Fourth is the context of the geography I'm looking at, which is India. So most of the leadership models, leadership frameworks, leadership literature is based on westernized models and focuses on industry which are in the western part of the world. And hence India and its workforce is kind of overlooked. And finally, there is this need of having a context-specific qualitative study when it comes to early career professionals. So that is one of the problem statements that I'm looking at. Having said that, I'm presenting 5 research objectives and the connected research questions with it. Starting with the first research question is to first of all identify what are those leadership competencies that senior leaders consider important for high potential young associates. I mean, the associates which are there in their early years of their career and are part of leadership pipeline. The second research objective is to examine how these senior leaders perceive the development of self-leadership capabilities amongst these high potential associates. Third is how this same examination is done by senior leaders, but for team level leadership capabilities. Yeah. The fourth research objective is about to explore how senior leaders perceive the progression and then the integration of these leadership capabilities as the high potential associates move through different stages of their career in the leadership pipeline. And finally, the last research objective is about examining how senior leaders perceive the role of different development mechanisms like mentorship, experiential learning, and so on and so forth in shaping leadership capabilities for these young associates. I'm not going into research questions. There's an exact one-on-one mapping of the research questions from the research objectives. With that, I'll talk about the scope of my research. So in terms of geography, I'm focusing on India because of the dynamic environment in which India is growing and the digital transformation that it is seeing. So the youthful workforce of India is the geography I'm looking at. In terms of industry, I'm looking at 4 industries. First is IT, next is consulting, third is banking finance, and fourth is diversified conglomerates, which have different operations, but then they are facing similar leadership challenges. Fourth is the participant scope. My participant scope will be senior leaders with at least 10 plus years of experience in developing and investing in high potential associates. And methodology is qualitative, which I'll delve deeper in the research methodology. In terms of what is the significance? So firstly, my research in terms of theory will contribute towards proposing an integrated leadership framework, and it will extend to some of the theories that I'm going to talk about in my literature review. Second is in terms to the HR practice. Many of HR L&D professional in learning and development can benefit from designing effective leadership development programs using this framework. Third is business contribution. So I feel this research outcomes can have a direct impact in terms of succession planning, talent retention, and a strength and a strong leadership pipeline, as it can help in improving the ROI of leadership programs and reducing misidentification of high potentials and so on and so forth. And finally, in terms of methodological contribution, it will strengthen the qualitative research by incorporating the viewpoints of this important stakeholder, which is senior leaders. With that, I'm finishing the first section, and we'll move to literature review. So to introduce this section, I would say that there is a plethora and immense amount of literature that is dedicated to leadership development and leadership competencies. Yeah, and it covers self, team, and business. It also examines different factors of mentorship, experiential learning, and so on and so forth. So how I've done my literature review is that after seeing so many theories and frameworks, I've highlighted 3 modern theories, and then I've kept it as my foundation, and then divided the rest of my theory literature review in terms of 3 themes: self-leadership, team leadership, and business leadership. So I'll jump into the 3 frameworks, leadership frameworks and theories that I've based my literature review on. First is competency-based leadership theory. So in Crux, what it says that it sees leadership development as a set of developable capabilities, yeah, and it evolves from self to team and business, and it emphasizes using these competencies as part of the development process, yeah. The second theory is the leadership identity development theory. So what this theory does is it moves away from looking at leadership as just capabilities, and rather it looks it as a dynamic concept where an individual can start identifying himself or herself as a leader. So when and how a person identifies and internalizes himself or herself as being a leader. Yeah. The third theory is social learning theory, which is quite a modern theory, and it talks about how leadership development should be done. It talks about using experiential and social learning, including role modeling, mentoring, going through challenging work experiences. So how someone goes through these experiences, and through the social feedback that someone gets and experiences is the development that is prescribed by social learning theory. So these are the 3 theories that I have taken into account in my literature review. Now let's look into the 3 themes. First is self-leadership. So in simple words, it is the initial phase of a leadership development. And at the early stage of career, one can exhibit taking initiative, being self-aware, having learning agility, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And the theory that we have in the literature, there is a shift that is seen going from trade-based views to a developmental experience-driven perspective, which is a positive movement. But still, there is certain gap that I see in the literature. One, there is an over-reliance on self-reports and self-assessments for a young associate or any leader to understand where they stand on self-leadership. The only thing that they depend on is self-assessments and self-reports. There is no account of how senior leaders evaluate or how senior leaders perceive these capabilities in younger associates. Secondly, there is a very weak linkage on how this transitions into team leadership. Yeah. With that, I'll move to the second theme, which is team leadership. Now, when it comes to younger associates, while they do not have a formal authority of having a team, but they can still exhibit team leadership skills like through communication, collaboration, and trust. So basically, these competencies is something which is exhibited and validated socially. Gaps that I observed in team leadership in literature is then again there is a continued dependence on self-assessment. Secondly, there is confusion that a team leadership can only be evaluated when someone reaches a managerial position. For example, my previous peer was mentioning about leading without authority. So that is something that needs to be established and observed. The other point is we do not have, or we have limited understanding of how senior leaders, what criteria they use to evaluate a younger associate, someone who is high potential, how do they evaluate and how do they observe this transition of team leadership capabilities in them? And finally, the business leadership. So this is those leadership competencies where an associate can have an impact at the enterprise level. This can be exhibited through organizational awareness, key decision making, and so on and so forth. The good thing is the literature is now moving towards seeing this not as a package, but as an accumulative development capability journey. Yeah, the key gaps still are there. For example, most of the leadership capabilities that are analyzed about business leadership is a retrospective journey. So I study a very senior person and a very senior position after 20, 30 years of their career to know what are the leadership competencies. So then how do I know a younger associate having business leadership capabilities? There is no mechanism, there is no literature which talks about this. Then there is limited qualitative insight into how senior leaders identify early business leadership capability in younger associates. So these are some of the gaps in the three key themes of self, team, and business leadership. With this, I want to move to different other areas of factors of our leadership. So I want to talk about some of the developmental accelerators like mentorship and experiential learning. The word mentorship is pretty intuitive. It's about helping a younger associate, how a younger associate is helped by someone who is senior and having more experience. When it comes to experiential learning, it is learning through going through an experience or working on stretch roles, cross-functional projects, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the key gaps in literature, while there is quite a lot of literature, but the key gap is that there is a conceptual confusion in the terms of mentorship and experiential learning. Sometimes mentorship and experiential learning is seen as a capability. Sometimes it is seen as a process, the process of mentoring or the capability of mentoring. So there is a conceptual confusion in literature. Secondly, there is limited insight into how senior leaders evaluate or use this in the design of leadership development. Whom do you give mentorship to? How do they evaluate mentorship? How do they involve experiential learning and stretch projects and so on and so forth? The next factor are some contextual factors, for example, generational and gender differences. So it's very important to note that in any organization, the way the developmental accelerators mentioned as mentorship or experiential learning or any kind of leadership development, who gets access to it? How is the impact of these programs? It is much dependent on the context of the organization. What kind of generational narratives are existing in the organization? How are the senior leaders tuned in that organization and how they make these choices, how genders get affected when it comes to these choices of leadership development and understanding the development of an associate through the stages of their career. So the key gap is there is limited qualitative research on how these factors of generation and gender and its related assumptions by senior leaders and for younger associates. With that, I'm going to talk about the overall research gaps that I've identified. First, the key leadership gaps. As I've been saying, the self, team, and business is often studied in the literature as three compartments and not a continuous interactive development journey. Next is the methodological issues. As I was mentioning in the previous slides, most of the leadership frameworks, competencies at self, team, and business is understood as self-report or a retrospective analysis. There is a lacking insights of how senior leaders view at these leadership competencies. Then On the next part, the gap is that there is enough literature on mentorship and experiential learning, but then it is inconsistent, or it is underexplored in terms of a continuous journey. Contextual factors, on that there is limited research on how these factors affect the leadership progression. And then finally, stage-based integration. So there is gap into how these factors affect the leadership development of younger associates as they move in their earlier career stages. So as they move in these stages, how these leadership competencies evolve with them, that is a gap that I would want to focus on and study. With this, I want to propose a conceptual framework about progressive leadership development. It starts with, at the bottom, there is a foundational construct which talks about the self-leadership competencies and few of the competencies I've mentioned. So this is a construct. On this base construct, then as development progression starts, I've mentioned team leadership competencies. Yeah, this has to be seen as a processual construct or an interpretive construct, as it depends on social feedback to really understand and validate the showcasing of these competencies. Then we see the business leadership competencies, which is like an outcome oriented construct. That is where we need to see some outcomes to validate the leadership competencies. And the loops that we are seeing showcases the impact, or how the developmental accelerators and experiential learning, mentoring, how do they impact this leadership development journey. And basically the vertical arrows, they're not showing just a linear path, but it is showing a progressive way of development of leadership capabilities. On top, we are seeing contextual influences, the generational and gender factors. What is their impact on this overall process? What is the impact on this the development accelerators, and so on and so forth. So this basically is not a causal framework. It is more of a framework which is showing a progressive journey and a meaning making contextual framework. With that, I'm quickly closing my literature review and move into the final section, which is research methodology.
Saurabh, you have done your presentation 15 minutes, so I'm going to give you only 1 minute to finish your research methodology.
Sure, I'll do that quickly.
Thank you.
So my research is qualitative, exploratory, and interpretivist. What I will be doing is my sampling will be purposive sampling. I will be my target population will be senior leaders in these 4 industries. And inclusion criteria is at least 10 plus years of leadership experience involved in mentoring high potentials. Sample size will be 15 to 25 until I reach thematic saturation. I will be using a reflexive thematic analysis to do my research, and then I will be using NVivo software to do this. I have chosen to use an open-ended qualitative survey, and it will be done asynchronously for the very reason that it is difficult to reach out for interviews in different industries. So I've taken a practical option towards it, and I'll be using triangulation with insights from different industries, diverse experience, reflexive thematic analysis, and using of NVivo for coding and subcoding. So with that, just a few limitations of my study is that I'm choosing only one stakeholder, which is senior leaders. There is use of open-ended questionnaire. Findings will not be statistically generalizable. I'm using only one geography, which is the Indian context. And then there is some subjectivity in always in qualitative analysis, but it will be controlled through my rigorous methodology. So just final potential contribution, I'm just reiterating the key contribution to business will be, it will be helping in succession planning, talent retention, leadership pipeline by understanding the viewpoint of the key stakeholder, which is senior leader, who have the ability to invest, evaluate, and identify leadership at younger stages. With that, these are some of the references that I have. And sorry for exceeding the time. Thank you so much. I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Saurabh. So before I open the floor for any question, actually, I have a question. This is on your problem statement stage, whereby you've already identified the research need, which is a qualitative research, even in the problem statement itself. Now, of course, examiners will definitely have a copy of your entire research proposal. So could you kindly enlighten me how you can come up with the decision to already decide a qualitative research in the problem statement itself?
Sure. Thank you so much for this question. And So while I was doing my research and literature review, as I have mentioned, the entire study and a lot of literature is based on quantitative analysis. There is very less context specific study in the literature, like context of an Indian industry or the Indian geography. And most of the research is quantitative in terms of depending on surveys and so on and so forth. So that gave me a hint that this is a problem. There is less of qualitative experiential or explorative study in terms of leadership development and leadership competencies for young high potentials. So that was
Okay.
the reason I mentioned this. Yeah.
All right. Can I understand whether that explanation was in your part of your introduction chapter before talking about the problem statement? Before arriving to the problem statement, was there anything in your writing that mentioned that there was limited studies for the qualitative research?
In my research paper, yes, I have mentioned that there
All right.
is yes, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Saurabh. So I'd
Thank you.
like to open the floor to anyone who would like to ask any other question or even any comments to Saurabh.
I would like to just extend the question that Dr. Jain started. Thank you for bringing this very interesting aspect of leadership studies into light via your study, and I'll be very interested in the findings. One or two things. One, you were talking about when you were answering Dr. Jain, you were talking about specific kind of leadership analysis that you would like to do. Now, I've been working on this area primarily in the services sector. So leadership in the higher education sector, leadership in the MSME sector, and so on and so forth. And we found that the context of whether it's a service sector or a product manufacturing sector, the expectations for leaders in terms of productivity, keeping the team together, team culture, are very different. Therefore, again, senior, I mean, I'm sure in your sample that you choose a senior leader, there'd be definitely some women leaders and some. So is there some room for your understanding? Does interpretation vary with the leader? I mean, is there a gender-wise variation? Whether the people for whom you're collecting perceptions are a mixed group or just men or just women or whatever. So when you're choosing, when you're looking at perception of the leader, senior leader, of about the young leaders, do they view these accession to leadership responsibility differently, right? There is a lot of actual research available where women who are aspiring to leadership positions from a very young role seem to always feel that they get fewer challenging assignments where they can prove there. So do the leaders have these perception? I mean, this is a sort of a little more complicated because you're talking about perception of senior leaders and so on. So those are these issues being teased one way or the other? So is there that sort of a, and again, when you are, if you're putting up, because the leadership journeys, even at the stage of getting into leadership roles, understanding, socializing as leaders, there is a major developmental difference gender-wise. So is there some way of studying that? Because you picked up that distinction somewhere. I couldn't understand whether it's being teased out enough. So it would be very interesting. And it's to my own mind, it's quite a complex study. I'm sure you'll be getting your own NYO analysis and so on. But again, you're saying it's self-reported behavior. You are saying you'll be doing asynchronous data collection. That means you'll be sending in your questions. My problem as a researcher using asynchronous this thing has been the response error. You know, because these are interesting and involved answers that people need to give. Sometimes, and these are people who don't have too much time. So because they will have to think, they to tease, they will have to test their own this thing. Are you a little worried about the lack of response or you're having chase your respondents, and then they'll be delaying and so on. It happens in all of these asynchronous things, and we've gone through all of it. I mean, gone through it all. There are advantages to asynchronous when you're doing in-depth analysis or in-depth response seeking, but the other casualty is nonsense. So
Absolutely.
have you planned to deal with it?
Thank you, ma'am, for the interesting perspective. So first, on the first point, absolutely, the fact that I'm looking at these 3 to 4 industries, and as you mentioned, in every industry, there's always this context or this bias or this perspective of whom to invest on, and the gender and the generation of the young associate and the gender of the senior leader has an impact. So I do wish to bring this, and hence in my sample there will be men as well as women from different industries, and I will be looking at how they perceive and what is their perception of making those judgments of investing on whom, and how they perceive this development of leadership capabilities across the self, team, and business. Is there a different perception when they look at men or and women? So all of this is something that these nuances is what I would want to focus on to answer your first question. And the second part, yes, there is a compromise between choosing of interview and open-ended questionnaires. Yes, my first choice would have been going for interviews, but then the very fact of struggling with getting interviews, maybe within my organization I can, but then across industries of these senior leaders getting a good 60-90 minute of conversation where they would give that kind of time, and then they might be giving socially acceptable answers, or there can be an interview bias. So looking at that, I've taken a choice to go for open-ended questionnaires. But yes,
sorry, just a suggestion.
yes.
Just a suggestion. I got involved into a study of women vice chancellors, and I wanted to take a population study rather than, because the total number was not at that time, not more than 65. So what the choice we made was we sent them the questionnaire in advance, allowed them to go and took time, say set aside 45 minutes for me, and then I went with them, and they went into what is called references or experience sharing and so on. Sometimes it became more. So always, I mean, I thought that was a good way of send it to them in advance, ask them for assigning you a time. It might take longer, but I found that the matter I got, content I got was much richer. Studied the questionnaire in advance, and then they were able to, and I wasn't really dependent on their answering at their own will. You took time. Normally found late evenings as time, and or weekends, but I got very, very rich database. So I mean, just a suggestion, could this way through to getting away from the non-risk, because it's very frustrating for a person earning a degree to endlessly wait for people to respond.
True. I think, thank you, ma'am, for that practical
And
advice. I
sometimes
think
you're not.
yes.
Yeah. If just consider
Thank you.
it if you
Thank
want.
you, Dr. Madhulika. All right. So let us, okay, this is good for Saurabh, and I wish you all the best, Saurabh. Now let us move on to Sushil Kumar Verma, just waiting. Right. So if you could share your screen. Thank you everyone for your patience and still attending the session. Very interesting discussion and also presentation. So Sushil, you can start your presentation exactly 15 minutes from now, so we can allow for more question and answer session or comments. Okay, over to you, Sushil. All the best.
Can I have one comment before Sushil starts?
Oh, sure.
Just to comment and to inform everyone, Sushil is our first PhD in management learner to reach to the proposal defense stage. So just to also for everyone knowledge, we are running under School of Business, we are running 2 doctorate program. One is DBA, which is mixed mode program, which is have two components, which is coursework and research. Second is a pure research program, which is PhD in management, which is running online and on campus. Our DBA program is our flagship program and is running for quite very long time, but our PhD, it's somehow new. This is the second year. And Sushil, as I mentioned, is our first learner, reached to the proposal defense stage, and he is under supervision of Dr. Nedzat. So thanks a lot for Dr. Nedzat for guiding Sushil to reach to this stage. And also one more information about Sushil. Sushil is a transferring student from DBA program, right, Sushil?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sushil was doing DBA program. Then he decided that, okay, I already finished all my courses, but I want to have PhD. So and I like it's good that you have all this ambition to do it. So all the best, Sushil, and yeah, back to you.
Okay.
Thank you,
All the
Dr.
best, Sushil.
And good evening and good morning to everyone. And thanks for giving me a chance to present my research proposal for this symposium. And special thanks to my supervisor, Dr. Nijat Parikh, who helps me a lot to go through this research. So my research topic is exploring perceived challenges and risk of adopting agentic artificial intelligence in digital lending services from technology, organization, environment, we call it a TOE framework perspective. With the table of content, so we will start from the background of the study. After that, the problem statement, research questions and objective, most important significance of study, underpinning theory models, literature review, what we done, proposed conceptual framework, research design, what is my research, you can say proposed sampling strategy, proposed sample size, and what kind of data analytics that we're going to use for this research. The first slide that is coming to it is a background of study. So when you see the figure 1, which talks about the market trend analysis 2025 for digital market size, as you see that for Asia Pacific, it's very high. So right now, as per the market trends, the digital lending, actually it's growing in a very high pace, the highest growth rate that we have. And why this is so high? Because of it is fueled by rapid technology adoption, supportive government policies, shifting consumer preferences. In India, always. It's also, we are saying that NABARD 2024 is partnering with the RBI Innovation Hub to digitize agriculture lending, and over 338 startups that bridging the lenders borrower gaps. Even in the same way, the Japan is also advancing a cashless initiatives with discounted schemes and target 40% cashless payments. So these factors actually influencing a lot for the digital lending market trends across the globe. Asia Pacific is the highest side. In the medium side, you can say the US and Europe, and South America and Africa continents are also getting a lot of these growth in these digital lending markets. When you see the figure 2, it's actually a AI evolution timeline. So when we start from like in 1940s, that we will have a first digital computers. And the same way in you can say 50s, that we have a robotic mouse and everything. Everything got robotics. Means robotic having started over that time. And afterwards, then we have in 1960s, we have the first, you can say, artificial neural networks has been developed. It's not that 100% profound, but yet it was the initial phase. In the same way, in 2010, we will have a first deep learning systems deployed. And in the same way, in recent era, like in 2020s afterwards, we are seeing a lot of growth in AI and agentic artificial intelligence as well. And it's predicted that in 2050, the AI will be reached as a human level capabilities in language and image recognition. In the same way, the figure 3, which talks about the MSME sector in 2024. So it was projected that we have a 10.7 billion, you can say, the market in 2021, and in 2026 it has become a 20.5 billion. So it's like double in the 5-6 years, and the CAGR is like a 14% expansion that we are seeing, and mostly expansion is coming from digital platforms, alternate lending models, rising credit demands, MSMEs, and adoption of AI, machine learning, blockchain solutions are getting deployed. And the next 5 years that we are seeing a lot of partnerships among the market players likely to become more strategic and expansions. And these advancements collectively signify digital lending rapid evolutions into mainstream credit solution and worldwide. In the next slide, we talks about the problem statement. Yes, digital lending is growing fast phase. It expands credit access, accelerate loan processings. In the same way, it's also faces a high compliances, a lot of risk management we need to do, and a lot of operation complexities. AI adoption gap, we have AI, but yes, there is a gap. The current adoption is only 10% due to technology novelty, infrastructure gaps that we have, and the regulatory uncertainties as well, because regulators are not that much mature right now in terms of the AI that we're talking about. And yet only 82% of firms plans near-term adoptions. So they're planning, but yeah, and they're not fully adopted everything. And there are a lot of key barriers, for example, technological complexity, customer readiness, organizational readiness, regulatory ambiguities, absence of sector-specific frameworks is not present right now, and the risk of adoptions, regular penalties that we have, faulty credit decisions that we can have, algorithmic biasness that we have for the risk adoptions. So that's why, and even the loss of customer trust as well. So what is the research gap that we have? The lack of ethical, regulatory, and practical framework for the responsible agentic AI adoption digital lending. So this is the major research gap that I have seen in all the research that has been conducted in the past. The next slide, we talks about the research questions and objectives. So for this, my research proposal, the research questions are the 5 research questions that we have. First one is like, how do customer perceive their own readiness in influencing their willingness to adopt agentic AI driven digital lending services? The second one is like, how do financial institutions interpret and enact operational readiness for the adoption of agentic AI in digital lending? In what ways does the trustworthiness shape customer and organizational acceptance of agentic AI in digital lending? And how is perceived risk experienced and articulated by customer and institutions in the context of agentic AI-based lending systems? The fifth one, the last, how do the interaction between readiness, trust, and risk collectively shape the narrative of agentic AI adoptions in digital lending? So these research questions are just converted into research objectives. So I'm not going to repeat because the sense of the questions and objectives are near about the same, because they are find out what the main topic that we discussed, 1, 2, and 5 point that we have. The significance of study. This research addressed a critical gap in agentic AI adoptions within digital lending by examining autonomous adaptive AI systems through multi-stakeholder perspective. So we don't have a single or a single level of stakeholders. We have a different stakeholders which are involved into the agentic AI adoptions of digital lending that we have included many of them. Theoretically, how significant it enhances technological organization environment frameworks by integrating agentic AI unique statistics, continuous learning and autonomous decision making, while addressing the recognized lack of standardized implementation of framework in finance. The qualitative methodology generates empirical data from developers, managers, and customers, contributing novel constructions for AI adoption theory. Practically, actually, it's more important practically go through it because the research provides more practical insights. Actually, it provides actionable insights for fintech companies and the banks regarding stakeholders' concern like algorithmic bias, transparency, and data privacy. The finding supports responsible innovation for helping organizations balance and technological advancements in regulatory compliances and customer trust. Ultimately assist policymakers in developing balanced oversight framework. So these are the significant study of this proposed research. And what are the underpinning theory models? So first we start novelty of agentic AI in finance. There's no real production deployment in digital lending platform yet. So that's why we are going for the qualitative analysis of methodology for this proposed research. An early stage of exploration requires understanding, perception, and readiness of barriers. So these things are not on the real platform right now, not in a production environment. Agentic AI is usually being tested on a pilot projects and all. So that's why getting quantifying data for qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis is not suitable right now. So that's why we are going for most qualitative analysis for exploration. Same thing that I already discussed, rational of qualitative approach suitable for capture complexity, organizational dilemmas, and stakeholder perspective. And that's why it provides a deep insights into adoption and delivers and drivers and challenges. Choose a research design that which is an actionable research because that I want to go for more practical oriented research. This is a practical focus on generating insight for adoption for the companies and the organizations on the fintech institutions. Data collection is like a data triangulation methodology or kind of stuff that we have used. We have two ways of data collection. One is survey for the broader customer perspective, and second is a semi-structured expert interviews for nuanced understanding. Data analysis, we have a framework Joya methodology that we are going to use for systematic coding for concept development. So this helps to ensure the rigor, transparency, traceability, and qualitative analysis. Theoretical lens, so everything comes under the one theoretical lens that I'm using. This is called as a TOE framework, technology organization environment. So this guides exploration of technological readiness, organizational capabilities, and regulatory market context. So that's why it help us the research to be on a single theoretical lens and good frameworks, which gets me a good output from there. The next topic, literature survey. So when I'm doing the survey, so I cannot miss out all these scientists and the researchers who done a lot in AI. They're called as the father, like John McCarthy, Alan Turing. That we also have seen a movie on the Turing concepts. Then we have Marvin Minsky, Alan Neville, and Herbert Simons. And so these are actually the core scientists who have developed the AI. And that's why, and the same way the AI agentic AI is also going forward. And we are still working a lot, researchers are working a lot on it. So in the literature surveys, so agentic AI is quite a new stuff. So I picked all the researchers from 2021 and 2025. And these surveys and these literature surveys are totally dependent upon on the agentic AI use, because for AI adoptions, we have a lot of data, but for agentic AI adoption, we have very limited literatures available over there. So they are related to the model risk management. They are related to governance of the same. or they're related for third party in consideration risk, they're related to the UK financial stability. So all these literatures has been conducted in between in the latest time from 2021 to 2025, but none of the research has been done for the digital lending market using the agentic AI adoptions. So that's why this is the research gap that I identified from the literature review, and that's why I'm just choose this topic to go for. Proposed conceptual framework. So we have, so we can start from the first, like independent variables. We also call it a predictors. So customer readiness and the operational readiness are the two independent variables. So customer readiness, for example, borrower's acceptance, digital literacy, willingness to engage AI-powered lending systems. So these are the predictors or independent variables for this research. Operation readiness, organizational technological infrastructure, workforce capabilities, data governance, strategic alignment for AI implementation. So this one also independent variable. So second thing is trustworthiness and perceived, which is considered as a mediating factor. The process variable, we can also call it process variable. Trustworthiness is a stakeholders' confidence in AI systems, reliability, transparency, and fairness that mediates the relationship between readiness and adoption. And same perceived risk, the concern about algorithmic bias, data privacy, regulatory compliances, potential financial losses. So these influence the adoption decisions. So that's what we call as a mediating factor. So outcome variable is a dependent variable, you can say, and the adoption of agentic AI in digital lending services, successful implementation and utilization of autonomous AI agent lending workflows. Research design. So research design is divided into the 4 parts, and one is theoretical understanding and gap analysis, research model development, qualitative analysis, and research outcomes. So we start from the first literature review, which has been conducted, development of theoretical understanding and the research. So we're using TOE model and JOIA model for data analysis, and after that, knowledge gap and research questions. Then research objective that I already shared. Conceptual model development we discussed. Afterwards, we will go for customer survey and expert interview framework. Then pilot survey, primarily feedback. After then, we define the questionnaire if it as per the feedback we received. And afterwards, final survey and expert interviews. After we will conduct whatever data we will get from the data collections. We'll go through a JOIA style assessment. So it has a it's a 3 parts of assessment: first order, second order, and third order. You can say the first order, it talks about contextual. Second order is thematic, and then we aggregate the dimensions what we get from this analysis. We discuss and identify the actionable items, and after that, practical and theoretical implementation for the and with the future directions. So this is the full research design that we're going through. What is my sampling strategy? Philosophy is a mixed qualitative approach because I'm doing questionnaire survey as well as expert interviews. So that's why it's a mixed. We can also call it a data triangulation and use the customer closed survey for, I'll mention that use the customer closed-ended survey for breadth, perception, readiness, and indicators, and semi-structured interviews for depth, concept, and development of theory, building using Yogia method. Primary sampling logics is purposive theoretical sampling that I'm going to do. Key strata and criteria for this sampling is customers. First is customers. Any person whose age is more than 80 plus legally eligible for banking transaction loans. So any person who has 18 plus doing going for digital lending or doing transaction bankings and loans. So that was eligible. And for the expert roles, I'm looking for risk, credit tech, regulatory, compliance products, any experts from these organizations like bank and VFCs, fintech, regulatory, consultancy, and one is bar is greater than their experience should be greater than 5 years, so that they have a good knowledge about their organizations and the processes they are going through. Sample size of study and respondent selection. So for the customer survey, it's a close-ended survey that I'm going to do for minimum 50 person, because it's because we are doing for data triangulation. So we are collecting data in two ways: one from the surveys, questionnaires, and second from the expert interviews. And as for the margin of error, so I'm taking as a 14% of margin of error. So in that case, if you need to manage this 14% of margin of error, then I can take minimum 50 number of customers surveys needs to be conducted. And for this one, the criteria I already mentioned, that it can be from a current user from digital lending platforms or non-users, target both. So if someone is not taken any loan yet, even though he's eligible to do the survey to get his expectations and insights that he's looking for. And I also categorize from urban, semi-urban, rural customers as well. Age groups can be divided into 18 to 13, 31 to 45, and 46. And incomes, so any incomes that I'm looking for, salaried, self-employed, and informal, anything. For semi-structured interviews, I'm looking for 6 to 12 numbers for interviews, because as per Henniken Kaiser, so within 6 to 12 interviews from the experts, saturation usually comes. So whenever the saturation will come, then we can stop. So, and even though I already mentioned that this is data collection like a data triangulation, so that's why so I'm getting the data from two different sources. So that's why it isn't required to be too much data from different. That mentioned this will be justifiable to have these numbers so far. For expert selection, so for expert selection that I'm looking for managers, like 2 to 3 managers, risk and legal compliance legal officers, 1 or 2, regulatory or policy advisors, 1 or 2, academicians, independent researchers in AI and finance, 1, and operational managers and customer service heads, like 1 or 2. So this is the plan that I'm looking for.
Sushil, sorry,
yes.
you've already completed the 15 minutes mark. I think this is your last slide. Can
Okay,
we
there's
wrap it
only
up?
2 slides
Yeah.
left.
Thank you.
Data analysis techniques that we're going from GeoGI methodology for the same. And then we'll go from data preparation, coding first hour, open for coding first order, axial coding second order. Then we aggregate the dimensions and we'll go for the visualization and validations. And possibly that we use NVO MaxQDA, most possibly MaxQDA, because I'm more favorable with MaxQDA. And after the outcome will be rich thematic framework linking technology, organization, environment framework. And outcome will be also have actionable insights on barriers, enablers, readiness for agentic AI adoptions in digital lending. These are references that I have listed out, and that's it. Yep. I'm open for any
Thank you
questions.
very much, Sushil. And I'd like to open the floor for any question or any comments on Sushil's presentation. Thank you.
I would like to say a few things.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Netha.
Thank you. First of all, it's truly a privilege to take a part in this session, particularly as this marks my first appearance at the GlobalNxt academic event. I would like to commend all 4 doctoral candidates for quality, relevance, and intellectual rigor of their work. The presentations demonstrate strong theoretical grounding, methodological design, and obviously clear potential for meaningful scholarly and practical contribution. As an academic and supervisor, I am generally proud of level of engagement and seriousness of reflected in all 4 research projects. Second thing is for all 4 candidates, it's a brief constructive observation. It's a one important professional skill that is essential to develop a doctoral level is strict time discipline. When the presenter is allocated 15 minutes, it's very important to learn that it means 15 minutes. I was on a conferences where people doctors and presenters were cut off without making their points because they went way over their time. So it's important just to lesson learn. This is not reflection of quality of your work, but to when you do presentation, you practice and refine your focus and delivery. I know all 4 of you were very excited to let us know about your research, but keep this in mind. And the third thing is question for the candidate is basically what is so far, I know exactly where you at with your research, but what is at this moment the biggest obstacle or obstacles you see in your research? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Netzer, for that feedback and comment. Anyone else have any question for Sushil's presentation or any comments or feedback? Anyone? All right. So, yes, just one point, Sushil, if you could later transfer all this presentation to the GNU presentation template. All right, before
Sure.
you go for your defense. Okay, just tidy up. And if you could unshare your presentation, I would like to make a humble request for everyone to switch on your camera. And I want to tell to each one of you, thank you so much. It's almost 2 hours that you have sat down in this research doctoral presentation to give support and to give any feedback or comment. So with that, I would like to take a photograph. Okay, let everyone look at the camera and just smile, just for our record. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. All right, thank you so much.
Dr. Jane,
Yeah, I was just going
Madlika just
to.
joined, just opened the camera now. So
Oh,
let's have
okay,
one more.
okay. Let me okay, let me do another one. So everybody, count of 3, everyone smile, okay, for the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's see, everybody smiling. Right, everyone is smiling. Okay. So with that, thank you very much once again for attending this session. I want to congratulate our 4 doctoral research candidates. Okay, so tidy up your work. Please improve your time, like what Dr. Netset have advised. I also agree. With that, practice. And Dr. Rana, if you have any feedback, any comment before I end the session?
I can say like all the best for all the learners. Just please make sure that you follow the guidelines shared, that your supervisor need to fill the proposal defense or Viva session form for you. I need just to mention that maybe some learners, they will misunderstand or they will mix between symposium and proposal defense. They are totally two different things. Symposium only to present to your peers and other academicians is a chance for you to train, but proposal defense, it's somehow a similar concept. Your presentation will be there, but you will be assessed by examiners where the report will be shared. After that, you are required to do corrections, and it will be counted for your academic progress, okay? All the best. I see most of you, they were good on time. Like a presentation skill was nice. Topics are attractive. Thanks a lot for all the supervisors who really put all the time and efforts to make our learners to reach to this stage. And I want to mention for those who are watching us on YouTube and those who join us which are not currently GlobalNxt learners, if you want to know more about this program, please feel free to reach out to us. And I believe like this is kind of sample to see how our learners are conducting their research. So when you are joining our doctor program, it's not you are working in isolation, especially those who believe that maybe online is isolation. At all, it's not. It's you work with your peers, you work with your friends, you're gonna to be with the team. You will have at least these 2 sessions to present, the 2 symposiums you can attend. You can see your peers, how they are working. You can even, I believe some of you get the chance to get even feedback from other academicians, even without being there as a supervisor or examiner, which is a very good chance, I can tell you. So let's get benefit of that. Please, if you get like now during this session, you get any command from any of the academician, please take it into consideration. And I'm sure your supervisor is more than happy to also take that into consideration. And all the best for everyone. See you in another 2 weeks' time for our 16th symposium. And Dr. Jane, over to you to mention about our upcoming sessions.
Yes, so our next upcoming session will be on the 25th of February. It will be at 2 p.m. Malaysian time. So whichever time zone you're in, you could just check and see, double check. Those who are in preparation of doctoral, you could attend and see how your peers are presenting, or also get some notes to improve your work. So with that, just wait for the announcement. We will be publishing. For those who are not in our university, you can catch that information on social media, LinkedIn, and for all our learners, it will be published in our LMS and even the WhatsApp group. So with that, let me sign off, and all the best, everyone. In Malaysia is 11 p.m. So good night to everyone and good day to the rest of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. Good night. Good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.